Welcome back to Straight Talk. I'm Ashley Korslin in for Laurel Porter. I sat down this week with Administrator Linda McMahon of the U.S. Small Business Administration. The agency helps counsel small businesses and guarantees loans for them. McMahon was in Portland meeting with several small business owners. Here's part 2 of our interview. One of President Trump's first actions in office was to pull out of the Trans-Pacific Partnership. That free trade agreement would have had big impacts here in Portland. So what do you tell small business owners who might have benefited under the TPP?
Well, I think just as we're looking at many of the policies that are looking to be changed, I think the president really has good people in place to evaluate the trade agreements and to see what is really best for the United States as a whole. And so he's evaluating that. The Department of Commerce is working on that. And we want to find out what will make the best trade agreements for the United States, because that's what we want. We want trade. We need markets to export to. 96% of consumers are outside of the United States, and do you know only 1% of small businesses export outside the United States when you've got the largest consumer market outside of the United States. So we have our trade division at SBA that works in conjunction with the administration's office. So we want to help fill those markets outside of the United States so businesses can grow, because one of the stats that I found incredibly interesting is that for small businesses that export, wages in those businesses tend to be 18% higher than they are in other businesses. I don't know the exact answer for that, but it's clearly an area to grow, help our economy grow, help small businesses grow if we can help them export outside of the United States.
You just mentioned wages. Both Oregon and Washington have passed laws recently aimed to protect low-wage workers. Washington actually passed landmark paid family leave law that requires employees provide 12 weeks of paid family leave. Oregon's minimum wage just increased this month. That will continue stepping up eventually to nearly $15 an hour in the Portland area. I'm curious to your positions on both. Do you think requiring paid family leave could harm or hurt businesses in Washington trying to maybe recruit or even retain their employees?
I'll learn more about that as I am in Oregon and Washington today and tomorrow, because I want to hear from more of the small business, how they're being impacted by that. I can tell you that in general, the offices that I've heard from around the country in terms of minimum wage, minimum wage is different in different parts of the country, and I do think that states are in a better position to control the minimum wage laws, because a really rapid increase in minimum wage can really affect small businesses. And it's different for a minimum wage the middle of the country than it is in New York City or some other state. So minimum wage is it's a little bit tricky.
It's a complicated issue.
It's a complicated issue, and small businesses want to provide for the people who work for them. They want to hire teenagers. They want to hire people to come in and help during different times. But it makes it impossible sometimes when the minimum wage goes too high. And so what happens is entrepreneurs wind up doing a lot more of the work themselves, and they're not hiring. So we don't have that growth.
You have advocated in the past trade schools for a need for skilled laborers like mechanics, plumbers, or electricians. Why do you think that's so important in today's climate?
Well, I was told by the Department of Labor that the Keystone Pipeline that's been greenlit by President Trump, we don't have welders to come in and actually do the work to create the Keystone Pipeline available, today. Where are we importing them from? How do we get that skilled labor force? This goes all the way back when I was on the State Board of Education in Connecticut. And what we found was that when school budgets get cut, the first thing that gets cut are trade schools. And we do have a dearth of electricians and plumbers and welders and carpenters in our country. And these are really good jobs, and that's a real educational, cultural shift to understand that we need this as well as we need those college graduates, and not everybody has to have a college degree. I'm all for college degrees, but not everybody needs to have one or wants one or will be successful going forward. So the workforce of the 21st century, we have to be prepared in all areas.
Now, Administrator McMahon, I'd like to close out by asking you what you hope your legacy is. What do you hope you leave behind?
In terms of my life or in terms of my business?
Anything you hope that people remember you as someday?
I would hope one of the things that I thought about when I had my 6 grandchildren be with me at my swearing-in ceremony, and their little hands were underneath the Bible, you know, when I was sworn in, and I thought I would hope that my legacy would be for them and for their children, that they would look and say, wow, when my grandmother was out and talking to businesses and being a role model for all of us, we could see, that she was able to be happy in what she was doing. She helped provide a benefit to our country for all of us that made it worthwhile, because she didn't get to be with us as much as we would like for her to have been.
Thank you so much for joining us on Straight Talk, and enjoy your trip in Portland.
Thank you. Thanks for having me today.
We always welcome your comments. You can send them to us on Twitter. Follow us at KGW Straight Talk. Straight Talk airs twice a week on KGW, Saturday at 4:30 p.m. and Sunday at 6:30 p.m. just after NBC Nightly News. Thank you for watching Straight Talk. Laurel will be back next weekend. Have a good night.